Hello everyone, welcome to another Flesh and Blood video. In this one, we're taking a look once again at Prism Awakener of Soul, since she did get a card in the most recent set High Seas. Of course, we're about to have Mastery Pack Guardian, and then another new set after that. But I didn't talk about Prism for I think like over a year, and I was going to talk about Mastery Pack Guardian today, but we don't have the whole set yet, so I can't really do that. So instead, I thought it would be a good idea to take a look at Prism, as this deck is generally always in the meta. It's a very versatile deck. It is hard to play. This is definitely a player skill deck, but it definitely, if you learn it, you will have its advantages. You will do a lot. This deck is very, very powerful. And in Flesh and Blood terms, fairly cheap. I don't know if you can see it with how I have this cut off, but only $430. We only have one Fabled in the deck. I will say there are two Fableds in the maybe board, and I will talk about that later. But fairly cheap for Flesh and Blood standards. If you want a deck to learn and a deck that will reward you for learning it, Prism is one of those decks. So with that said, let's get started. Prism Awakener of Soul is a 32 health, 4 intellect light illusionist hero. She is the second lowest health of any hero in the game, only to Kano being the first. She has two effects. When a card with Herald in its name is put into your soul during an action phase, you can search your deck for a Figment, put it into play. We will talk about the Figments later. And she has a once per turn instant for 2, where you can banish a card from your soul to awaken a Figment. So just flipping the Figment over. It's all Figment based. Pretty much what this ability wants you to do is, unlike the original Prism, which really wanted you to turtle down and protect your life total that they made into Enigma, this is an aggressive deck. You don't have a high health total, so you need to race down your opponent because you can get easily chipped down if you were playing a defensive style version with this Prism. Of course, there are times where you can, and Prism has a very easy time at doing that because Light Illusionist, at its core, is a defensive deck, but thanks to the effects of the angels that you get when you flip your Figments over, and just the strength of all of the heralds, you can get so much pressure in many different matchups. For the equipment, the weapon we're playing is Luminaris Angel's Glow. This is from Heavy Hitters, and before Heavy Hitters, this Prism really was not very good. The weapon that she had access to when she was first printed was way worse than this. It gave half as much go again, and it costs 2. This is free, gives twice as much go again as the other weapon, and is just insane. I'll read it specifically. If there's a yellow card in your pitch zone, which is a OG light mechanic, of course, the first attack action you play with Herald in its name, and the first angel attack each turn get go again, which means you can swing with the Herald and an Angel in one turn and then still do something after that if the cards in your hand still permit it, which is very powerful. Getting 3 attacks a turn for free is crazy, especially when we take a look at the Heralds because they are all so powerful. For our rest of our equipment, we have Halo of Illumination. This is a Spellvoid 2 helmet, but mainly it's for its first effect. For a resource, we can destroy it at instant speed to put a card from our hand into our soul. If that card's light, we draw a card. This is really good because it lets us put a card in soul to flip Figments over, but also it can trigger Prism's ability, which means if there's a Figment we need to get on our opponent's turn or at a reaction speed or / instant speed, really, like Herald of Triumph to stop a popper, or like Figment of Judgment to banish a card face down or flip a banished card face down that they were going to be able to play this turn, or even get Figment of Triumph on our opponent's turn, or Judgment, not Triumph. Oh yes, Triumph. Which one's I'm thinking of Tenacity, the one you don't play. Figment of Triumph on our opponent's turn to make their stuff weaker. This is just a very versatile card. It's just really good. You don't really care that you don't have the block on it because you're always realistically using Halo at least once in a game, and it's super impactful. For our chest piece, we have the Empyrean Rapture. This is a Light Illusionist chest that makes our first hero ability activation each turn, so our 1 hero ability activation each turn, free if a Herald has been put into our soul on our turn, which is really good. course, it doesn't really work on our opponent's turn because it has to be during our turn, but it lets us, say, hit with a Herald and then flip the Figment over and then still have the resources to swing with the Figment extremely easily, and then even have the resource to do something else after that. It does have another effect to get Ward 1 for a resource at instant speed, but we're really only ever doing that if we're going to die. So don't really worry about that one. For our gloves, we're playing Dreamweavers. These have an action with Go Again to remove Phantasm from the next attack we play. Just a way to get an attack through. Very good versus any deck that is playing high power, which we're going to have a lot more of in Brute and Guardian, since the next 2 sets are about Guardian and Brute. So a lot of really good power there, thanks to the Dreamweavers letting us get those things through with making them block with a lot more cards. Also has Spell Void 1, but that doesn't matter since we're playing AB in our glove slot. And then finally, our shoe is Phantasmal Footsteps. When our illusionist attack actions are destroyed, we can pay a resource to gain an action point. So we just get our action point back after they blocked our thing. We can pay 1 when it defends to make its block become 1 until end of turn, which is really nice since it's 1 extra health every turn we're pitching something on our opponent's turn to do something. And if it defends an attack of power 6 or more, when the chain closes, Phantasmal Footsteps is destroyed. So you do have to be careful about that, but you, of course, are the one choosing to block with the Phantasmal Footsteps, so just watch out for defense or attack reactions. So pretty good core of equipment. The equipment really don't show you the strength of the deck until we talk about the actual cards, because they all play so nicely with the actual cards. So let's start with the actual deck, starting with the Figments. So Figments are all 4-cost instants. They are all Figment tagged, but that doesn't matter. They're all legendary, so you can only play 1 of each, and they all have an entering ability. So Figment of Erudition makes Ponder, Protection makes a Spectral Shield. You're playing 6 of the main board. Those are Erudition, Protection, which we just read, Ravages, which is 1 arcane to any target, Rebirth, which puts a yellow action card from our graveyard on top of our deck, Triumph, which makes all of our opponent's attack action cards have 1 less power, and War, which makes a Courage token. And the Triumph is only that turn, since I didn't mention that. We are also playing in our inventory the Figment of Judgment, which turns a banished card face down. And the one that we are not playing is Figment of... I don't remember what that one's called. Figment... something. It gives something Dominate. We're not playing it because it's not a very good card, comparatively. You want all the Figments to have really good effects. That's the only one that doesn't have a very good effect. If we ever got a meta where Kano was insane, since this is literally the best deck to beat Kano, and we needed the extra ward, we'd play it, but this is not that format. On the backs of all the Figments, so once you flip them over, they're all 4 power, 4 health, angel allies. They all can attack for 2 and all have ward 4. So your opponent can either choose to try to kill the angels or go at you and then let you choose which ones die first. Another neat thing is they're going to have to attack you because you can use the Halo alongside Figment of Ravages to ping yourself for 1, killing your own angel if they attack it to end their turn, similar to how it would be if you attacked a what is it? Spectra, I believe is the... sorry, I haven't played against Prism in a long time. The Spectra keyword on your auras. But in addition to that, they all have an attack trigger. So when they attack, you can banish a card in your soul to get a bonus effect. You will have to spend 2 of your soul to flip it and get the effect in the same turn. But if you can keep them in play and keep cards going into your soul, you're going to get so much value. Soraya has the effect to draw you 2 cards, which is on the Erudition. The Figment of Protection is Aegis. She gives you 2 Spectral Shields. Ravages, which is Secum, does 2 arcane damage. Rebirth, which is Avalon, puts any yellow card on top of your deck, which means you can recycle a lot more than just your actions. Triumph becomes Victoria, which makes the effect happen until your next turn. So if you swing with this first, it's going to be so hard for them to pop any of your things, and then they're weaker on their turn too, which is really nice. You really don't ever get to get Victoria off, but if you can, like, you're winning the game so hard, it's like insane. And then Bologna is a little different compared to what it actually does. Figment of War makes you a Courage token, but Bologna puts counters on your angels, making them bigger. So there are times where you have a huge board of angels, your opponent can't do anything, and you just have Bologna making them bigger and bigger every turn. Mainly, the only ones you're going to actually be using are Soraya and Aegis. You'll have the chance to swing with all of them, but the ones you'll be putting your soul mostly into are going to be the draw 2 and make 2 shields. But of course, they're all useful. Secum can end the game with its 2 arcane damage. Avalon can help you recycle something. Bologna and Victoria can be just massive power increasing or decreasing blowouts. So really, really powerful there. We'll talk about Judgment later, but pretty much Judgment just does its same effect again. Again, it doesn't really matter. The main reason why you play Judgment is because its interaction with Halo, because most of the time you want to flip a card that's playable in the Banished Zone face down, and you get that. You mainly want that at instant speed, because really it's only good against Shadow just playing it or when it's flipped, but it's really good against Ninja otherwise, since they have a lot of effects that banish themselves and then are playable from the Banished Zone. But we'll talk about that later. To go alongside these angels, we of course need to be playing Heralds. I think there's more Heralds than there are angels, but oh well, we're not playing them all. That's me, not you. Sorry about that. We of course are playing 9 copies of Herald of Protection, Triumph, and War-Tune Herald. All 9 copies. The reason for this is because you do want some blues in the deck, but these are the 3 best ones. Herald of Protection is a 2 for 7, then 6/5 stat line, and it has an on hit to go into your soul, like the rest of them, and you also get a Spectral Shield. So it is pretty basic, but it is an extra health if you do get it into your soul. Triumph is played as the same stat line as Protection, but instead of making a Spectral Shield on hit, it makes attack actions that defend it have -1 power, which makes it a lot harder to pop for your opponent. And then War-Tune Herald doesn't have any special effects. It will still just go to your soul and hit, but it only costs 1. These are the 3 best ones. That's why we're playing 9 copies of them. In addition to them, however, we are playing 3 copies of Herald of Erudition. This one is a 2 for 5 at yellow, so a bit weaker than the other yellow ones, but it has Dominate, and on hit, we can draw 2 cards. So if they don't have a popper, this is going to, or want to commit equipment to it, we're going to get some free card advantage. And then the last one we're mainboarding is the Herald of Ravages, which is the normal Herald 2-cost stat line of 6 at yellow, but on a hit will do 1 arcane damage to any target hero. So just a bit of extra damage. To round out the main board, because we are having most of our stuff in our sideboard, since Prism has a bit of different plans we could go with, we just have some core cards. Light of Soul, I think, is the Fabled that is the most important for the deck. It's a yellow resource that on pitch has you reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is yellow, you put it into your soul, which will trigger all of your Prism abilities. Of course, we are playing a lot of cards that are not yellow, but it is still worth it to play because hitting something really good is really, really powerful. And again, you don't have to, so if you have a Figment you want in your deck still, you don't have to. But the times where you use this and you hit a yellow Herald, you just like blow out your opponent. And then finally, 3 copies of Passing Mirage because, yeah, this card's really good. We want our Heralds not to have Phantasm. We're playing 3 of this card. Perfect card to play after you do your Herald in the Angel Swing. Same as Pierce Reality, gives it the attack +2, just helps it get in a little easier. And if we can get in our attacks, that's when we're really winning the game. Of course, not of the biggest main board, because we have a very big inventory, a 30-card inventory. Before we talk about the actual decisions of when we're boarding in all these cards, we have 2 cards that are equipment. The Vestige of Soul is the other light chess piece. It makes our light cards pitch for an extra 1 if a card has been put into our soul this turn. This card is really good in matchups we're bringing in Genesis, as Genesis is a reliable way to put cards into our soul, so our cards will always pitch for 1 more. Since every card in the deck, except like the blue auras and that all you got, are light. So, very powerful there. And Calming Gesture, which is just AB1. If we're against Wizard, we want our big ward to be taking the big damage anyway, but we need AB1 because if Rune Blade could just stack up 10 Rune Chants and then swing one thing and kill all of our Ward 4s with 1 damage, that's pretty bad. So we need at least 1 AB in the deck. Calming Gesture is the best one because it can give us a Spectral Shield if we need the Spectral Shield, and also it's AB1. So it's pretty good. For the rest of the inventory, we just have good cards that we're bringing in not every matchup. We're going to go through, starting with the 2 red cards. These are a few more aggressive heralds that we are playing. 2 red Herald of Ravages. This is really good versus decks that don't play a lot of poppers. Mainly against decks that don't play a lot of poppers are the times we're bringing in all these Herald-centric cards, because they are super easy to get in. A lot of decks like Ninja, like Wizard, these are the matchups we want all of the Heralds, all your aggro decks. Not so much Brute or Guardian. Those 2 you want to bring in the other packages, but things like that. These very low attack count or low popper count decks, you want to bring in all this Phantasm stuff. So Ravages is just some extra damage. Herald of Sekhem is the new card. It's a little different from the other ones as it's an attack trigger and not a hit trigger. This one is an on attack to put a yellow card from your hand into your soul. If you do 2 to any target. Gives you a bit of extra damage. This one's a little better versus the decks that are playing more poppers because it's an attack trigger. So if you swing this in, they attempt to pop it. You get to still put a yellow card into your soul. Hopefully that is a Herald, because that will again trigger Prism's ability and let you start rolling. The way you want to be able to beat, the way you have to beat the slower decks is starting your Heralds going, your Figments going, because at that point it's going to be harder for them to block. If they can easily just pop 2 things a turn, you're not going to be in a good spot. So Sekhem can be the way to get that rolling, start getting those Figments so you can start swinging with the Angels. Which is really, really nice. We're also playing 3 copies of Yellow Angelic Wrath. It's a way to give us more damage to get over versus the times they actually do block. There are, of course, the decks that don't play many poppers will generally have pretty high block value on equipment. So the turn that they commit at real cards or their equipment, we can just Angelic Wrath over and just make their equipment do nothing that game. The rest of the inventory is more of a protection package. When we do bring in the all the Herald stuff, there are times where we bring in the rest of these. Mainly the Soul Shields or the That Are You Gots, depending on the matchup. If it's a deck that can go a little taller, something like Ranger, we'll want to bring in something like Soul Shield, since they do have a high attack power count. But if it's something that goes a little wider, we'll want to bring in like the That All You Got, as it's free, blocks 3, and can replace itself. And then versus Ninja specifically, we'll also bring in the Figment of Judgment, because very good versus them, or any other matchup that plays cards from their Banish Zone, because that's what you want Figment of Judgment for. The rest of the inventory is a bunch of auras. These are cards that will help you versus your very late game matchups, mainly your Guardian matchup and such. And I think that's pretty key, because we're going into a set that would hopefully make Guardian meta after it's been not very good since whenever Victor got his spec, because that's the last time Guardian was actually good. Starting with the bread and butter, the Prism one of the Prism specializations, Arc Light Sentinel. This is a 6-cost aura instant. Opponents must choose this as an attack target if available, and it has Spectra. Spectra is a mechanic that says it can be attacked, and when it's attacked, it's destroyed and the combat chain closes. The attack does not resolve, so they don't get any on attack triggers. They won't get any on hit triggers. It just ends it, which is really, really powerful. Very good versus those slower decks, because if they're trying to set something up, you can use Arclight Sentinel to block it off. Or if you're setting up a bigger board, like you already have some Genesis in play, you can use Arclight Sentinel to protect your Genesis and keep them going. Which is why we're playing this card at 3. Genesis. This is a 4-cost instant. Also has Spectra. And all of them are instants, by the way. All the light illusionist auras. This one says, the start of your turn, you can put a card from your hand into your soul. This is start of turn, so this will not trigger Prism's ability. But if you put a illusionist card into your soul, you make a spectral shield. And if you put a light card into your soul, you draw a card. And the whole deck is light illusionist. So you're going to draw a card and make a spectral shield. This is really important because when you're stacking up these spectral shields, you're going through your deck, you're fixing your hands. You're putting all your things down. Remember, when you're bringing these in, you're probably bringing in the Vestige of Soul. So now 1 blue, light blue, pitches for one of your other auras, or you can play 2 attacks really easily. That's sort of the plan with the Genesis, is you want to use it to get cards in your soul for the Vestige of Soul, and so you can fix your hands to have just the best turns possible every turn versus the slower decks. Merciful Retribution is again, 4-cost light illusionist aura. I believe they all cost, all of the main ones that were originally printed cost 4, except ALS, which costs 6. This one says, when an aura or attack action card you control is destroyed, you do 1 arcane damage to target hero, and if it was a non-token light card, you put it into your soul. So it gives you a lot more soul to use for your angels, but also, once you have that Genesis set up, if they ever swing at you and they break all your spectral shields, they're going to take a ton of damage. They have to take so much more time. They have to kill the Merciful Retributions. Then they have to kill the Genesis. And then if they kill the Mercifuls, they're going to take damage. So if you stack these up, they're going to take a bunch more. You're going to get so many permanents in play. You're just trying to make a board that can not die if your opponent just wants to swing at you, but make them clear these auras and just get as much time as possible. And then the point of all that is a combo that I'm not good enough at Prism to explain, to where you're looping Arclight Sentinel every turn using Soraya and Avalon, and you need enough soul to do that. But I haven't played Prism enough to tell you exactly how that works. But that's how that works. You use Soraya and Avalon to keep looping the Arclight Sentinel, and then eventually you start swinging with Bellona because she makes all your angels bigger, and then your opponent has to block everything, and then they die because your angels are too big. And you need a lot of cards in Soul to do that. Thanks to Merciful Retribution, you can get a lot of cards in Soul. In Genesis. And then the last one we're playing is Parable of Humility. This one makes attack action cards your opponent controls -1 power when attacking and defending. Helps you not die. Also helps your heralds not get popped. Pretty powerful there. You can get some really good value out of this one. This one isn't as important versus some matchups, but it's still pretty good. And then the last card in the inventory, because we didn't talk about it yet, is another Herald. Herald of Judgment is a 2-for-6. This is the other Prism spec. It is an on-hit to go in your soul, and the defending hero can't play cards from their Banish Zone during their next action phase. Just bring this in when you play against a deck that plays cards from their Banish Zone. That's pretty simple. The Shadow Heroes and also Ninja, or at least Katsu. Ira might I'd bring it in against Ira, but the 2 Draconic ones really don't. So bring this in versus the base ninjas and Shadow Heroes, or if they make anyone else that gets to play cards from their Banish Zone, which I'm blanking if there currently are any. But yeah, that's what this card's for. And I'm sorry I can't give you more, because Prism is a very complicated deck. I am not a Prism player. I can pilot the deck. Like, I can pilot most decks in the game, but I'm not a seasoned Prism player. As I said earlier, this is a deck that If you play it, you play it. Like, it's your deck. You learn it. It's really the only thing that you play. And it's a very skill testing deck, which I really do like. It feels a lot like Icelander, in the sense that it's a deck that you need to know what you're doing. You can't pick up Icelander and then you can probably pick up Icelander and then win a few games. Like, you can do that on Prism, but to like truly understand it and play perfectly, you need to know, because if you fuck one thing up, like an Icelander, if you mess up one thing and you get a bad card stuck in your arsenal that you can't play, or you arsenal the wrong card, or you block wrong and you can't play your hand and you're stuck with cards in hand or whatever, you're gonna have a bad time. Same as Prism. There are a few other decks that do that too, but I think Prism is definitely the hardest to play. There's so many things that you need to think about, so many things that you need to do. There's a lot of moving parts, but I think that's what makes this deck really interesting. Before I end off the video, I did mention there are 2 Fables that we are not playing: the Great Library of Solana and the Riches of Tropal Dani. Library has seen play in Prism forever. This one says at the beginning of the end phase, if a hero has 2 or more yellow cards in their pitch zone, they gain +1 intellect. This is really good when you bring in all the aura stuff, because of course this card does not block. It is a fabled. It is an action to either player can discard 2 yellows and destroy it, but yeah, that's not going to matter, I guess. Sure, your guarding opponent can keep 2 yellows in their hand, which they're barely playing, to get rid of it, but that's all it does at that point. Mainly it's here because you get 5 intellect so easily, since your whole deck is yellow. This card's pretty expensive. I think it's less important than Light of Soul, because you're playing Light of Soul in pretty much every matchup, where you're only playing Solana in the matchups you play things like Vestige and Genesis and that stuff. And then Riches of Tropal Dani might be like insane. I haven't seen anyone play Prism recently, but this card just feels right. It's a yellow, so it works for your weapon. It gives you gold, so you can pitch a yellow to activate the gold and start your weapon. And it draws you the card to replace it. It kind of does everything you want. Prism isn't a deck that cares about gold in the sense of it's gold or it draws you a card. It cares about it in the sense of it puts a yellow card in your pitch zone. It's really, really nice. So Riches, if you have Riches, is also very good. I would play Riches. A lot of the Prism decks that have been played recently have been playing Riches, so you should play it. If you own these 2 cards, they should be in the deck. If you own Library, I would cut 1 Parable. You don't need 3 Parable, but I wouldn't play a 3rd copy of Ravages or Secum. You could probably also play a 3rd That All You Got over the 3rd Parable. I think that's pretty fair, but this will come in for 1 of the 3 Parables. And then for the Riches, it's probably some main deck card. If even that, honestly, I could easily see you going down again of the Parable. I would only play 2 Parable. I would never go below 2 Parable, though. You can cut it for the Soul Shield, one of the Soul Shields, but I've also seen people not play Vestige and still play this Aura package, so it could also be the Vestige of Soul. It really depends on what you want. Mainly, don't touch the main board. The main board is kind of core. If you're going to add anything, add a Riches or like a 3rd Pierce Reality if you want the 3rd Pierce Reality. But the rest of the main board kind of stays. Mainly it's this things in this inventory that you're going to be changing up for your own preferences and what you like. But with all of that, that is going to be the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed. Next week, we will be taking a look at the full set of Mastery Pack Guardian, because I think it's only like 60 cards, so I can do that in one video, and hopefully it's not 2 hours long. But with all of that, I'll see you all in the next video. I hope you all have a good day. I hope you all have I don't think Mastery Pack Guardian is a pre-release. Oh, there's Crack Shuffle Play events. I hope your Crack Shuffle Play events go well. If I don't see you in the next video, since again I think it comes out like the day it will come out the day before the set comes out. So actually, the pre-release or the Crack Shuffle Play stuff might be this weekend. I'm not actually sure. I don't think I'm playing in any, but hopefully those go well for you. And I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.